Welcome back for another helping of Oysters, Clams, and Cockles presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin here with my main man, Mr. Barrett, Dudley Barrett. What's good, Playboy?
Oh, man, I'm just
grinding, huh?
grinding, still recovering from the season 3 finale of Murders in the Building, where there was a twist.
Ooh.
There was a twist.
A twist of the knife?
A little bit.
Was Selena Gomez the killer?
Yes.
That
was the twist.
Sorry for the spoiler.
The show is over. They are taking her to prison.
Wow.
And
That's
that
a shame.
was that. No, but par for the course there with our little murder mystery show, you know.
Good. Was it good?
It was good. It was good. It was yeah, it's a fun show. It was really the only one that I've had in quite some time that I was like kind of keeping up with weekly, you know? It's a weekly drop and comes out like late Monday nights, and like pretty much was always watching it Tuesday evening. So had that to look forward to. But now
Nice.
I can put my full attention into catching all the way up on Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
So what?
right.
How much have you
I'm
watched?
5 episodes, so I'm halfway through the first season. 5 episodes deep now.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll give my Foundation update. You thought I was done with season 2.
Yeah, I
don't know if I misled you at some point.
Yeah, you did mislead me. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were saying that, and I was like, holy shit, you really, really blew through that. And you were like, yeah, I was sick, so I watched, and I was like, still, that's a lot of TV to watch over like 3 days of being sick. I thought you knocked out like 16 hours of Foundation in 3 days, basically.
Well, first of all, I think I'm permanently sick. It was like the whole month of September, not 3 days. And then it's like carried into a little bit to October. If you can't hear it in my voice, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I've got 3 episodes left in season 2 of Foundation on Apple TV+.
Okay, all right.
And I'll just say for this show, there have been a couple episodes here or there where I was like, I don't know, y'all are making this a little too complicated. I'm not sure if it's going to pull it off. I also think I'm just like more skeptical right now than I normally am about TV shows because I'm just like, there's nothing good. I'm just in a pessimistic place. I'm starting to turn the corner because Foundation, it is really good. Like if you've been waiting for like a full-blown recommendation on Foundation, I'm at that point where I'm willing to say, like, this is definitely worth watching. It's great. Like, I've really, really enjoyed it. Every episode is definitely huge. Like, so much happens, and it's such a big universe and galaxy, whatever. And there are a lot of characters. It feels very Game of Thrones in that way, where you've got like 6 or 7 central characters, and that's not counting Empire as 3. That's counting Empire as 1 character.
One, sure.
But it is great, man. Like in terms of the story's progress through almost all the way through season 2 now, I have been very pleased and very, very entertained. So I'm stoked on Foundation if you haven't started that.
Yeah, I think we gave a pretty full-fledged recommendation last week, as it were. But yeah, this is the first. It's definitely the show that has really like it has sucked us in. You know, tractor beam, we're eager to watch episodes of it.
That's how I feel.
That we haven't been for other shows recently. Like, you know, I mentioned I have mentioned that we are making our way through Winning Time season 2, and this like just totally usurped it. You know, it's just like anytime I'm like, what do we want to watch? And I like name all the shows that we have on our plate, and it's like we're pretty much choosing Foundation.
Well, it didn't help that Winning Time got canceled in the middle of you watching season 2.
Yeah. So it's an epic story. One thing I know that you skip ahead 15 seconds if you don't even want like a very, very minor spoiler. But like the book is apparently like a series of vignettes, like not really told linearly.
Oh.
And it takes place over like 1,000,000 years or something insane like that.
Yeah, a crazy time span.
So that's not really a spoiler. Only leads you to understand what the very first episode kind of already tells you is that they're talking in such great scale, right? Like the foretelling, the mathematical prophecy is basically about the fall of the empire over the next, what is it, like 50,000, 500,000 years or whatever?
Long time.
I remember being blown away by the numbers that they were talking about. I was like, that's a really long time.
Yeah, far enough off to where you're like, I don't even know if you need to worry about this yet, right? Like, why? What's the big deal?
Maybe it was 5,000 years. Maybe it was in the next 5,000 years.
Yeah.
But because I think like the prophesized Dark Ages was going to be like 10,000, but they could reduce that to 1,000.
That was where the crazy numbers came in.
Something like that.
Yeah, talking about how that dark period might be, basically that the dark age was going to come no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And they've got to figure out a way to shorten it.
Yes.
So that humanity doesn't suffer as much or whatever.
Yeah, but all to say that the scale is obviously very, very, very grand. But I think that they're doing a nice job of feeding you plot and of giving you characters that I think that they are carving out nicely, at least through the first half of season 1. That's what I would say, and I'm very much enjoying the show, and it's definitely one that I am looking forward nightly to watching. It does not feel like a chore. It does not feel like homework. I'm not doing it just to keep up with a show that's been on my radar. You know what I mean? Like all those things. Like it's elevating into that tier of like, I really want to watch this.
Like fully enjoyable.
Yes.
No, I'm with you. And I mean, the back half of season 1 is where I kind of floundered, where I was like, because the scale got to me a bit. I was just like, God damn, there's a lot happening here. We're covering a lot of time. Time jumps are sort of a trigger for me as a result of this podcast mostly and people complaining. But season 2 gets darker for sure. And it kind of takes it to a more dramatic place even than season 1.
Wow.
Where season 1 is kind of more, stage setting and giving you the full breadth of the story that you're going to be dealing with for the remainder of the series. And season 2 has been very, very good. I've been super impressed so far. So I know there are people who are done with it already. I should be done soon.
Do you think that if you were to, I don't know, let's say fall into hyperspace sleep for 34 years and then wake up on a ship with nobody on it except for a computer, do you think you could math your way out of that and trick the computer into telling you everything you needed to know?
No. No, I can't do simple math is a problem.
I think
for
we
me.
would just, you and I would just be, we would just be screwed in that situation.
Yeah, no, we'd be in big trouble, big trouble, Barrett. But yeah, so Foundation's great. Few more left in season 2 for me. To take it to HBO news very quickly, filming has officially wrapped for House of the Dragon season 2. And now news...
Would it have like 1 week left of filming?
I don't know. I get the feeling they waited to announce this until after the writer's strike was done. Like they didn't say like, and we finished on this exact date, but like they're done.
That makes it sound like they were done before the strike.
I don't think so. I think they were working through the strike. Because that was one of the controversial things about the fact that they were choosing to continue was like everybody was like, well, you're not going to have a writer on set.
And so do we think that all the actors on the set of Game of Thrones then were under the British one, it's not a SAG actor show?
I guess not. Like, I mean, because they would have had to have stopped, right? So yeah, my impression is
that they did. I thought I heard that they did stop it.
No, they continued to work through the strike. So they're done filming now, wrapped completely, and they are set for, and this is per HBO, they are set for a summer 2024 release date, which feels like, I mean, it's one of the things about these Hollywood productions, the big, largest scale ones, obviously, that rely on a lot of CGI and effects. How many months is going to be that? Like, how many months is the editing? Like, so yeah, I mean, is it like they get it done and then like a month later they push it out to the world, or is there like a few month buffer there, where they're prepping like marketing and stuff like that, or is that going on simultaneously?
What I have heard is that like they will be working on the CGI stuff now until every single they are
until release.
Up until release for every single episode.
Right.
Where it's like episode 7 comes out and they're not even done with 8 yet.
That's crazy.
And they're still polishing and brushing up CGI stuff. That is what I've heard. That's not exclusive to House of the Dragon or HBO shows. That's like all of these shows that utilize some type of graphics or FX house in Hollywood.
In Hollywood. But yeah, so we have a ballpark for release now. Summer 2024.
Man, it's really interesting to look back over the last 5 years now of Game of Thrones, and I respect them for slow playing it all and deciding when they had the right thing. then they obviously got boned by COVID and now boned again by double strikes. And yeah, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that I'm extremely nervous for season 2 of this show.
I'm not as nervous for season 2 of this show as I am for anything else they attempt in terms of the Game of Thrones universe. Because, like, if you look at this compared to, say, Star Wars, right, where Disney was like, all right, we're going to make as many Star Wars shows as we possibly can, where there is literally a new season of one of the Star Wars shows dropping, it feels like monthly, right? There's a new show entirely every few months, 6 months or so, right? Like we got what's the Ahsoka going on right now? I don't know why the name is funny to me, but anyway, that compared to this,
because you think it says ass in the front,
Ahsoka, but compared to this, where it's like Game of Thrones ended, they pretty immediately were like, we're gonna try some other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the only thing that has come out since then is season 1 of House of the Dragon.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now they've teased some other things. They had one show go into production and they get axed, right? They've talked about this Jon Snow, God knows what that is, that I get the feeling that's probably done.
You think it's done now?
The lack of any type of update feels damning to the show. Like anyway, it's possible, I guess, that they still roll with it at some point.
I heard it had a name already.
But they're certainly not in a hurry, like you said.
Snowfall.
That's a different show, which gets recommended to me quite often.
Oh, that's the name of the FX show, right?
Yes.
Oh, it is
Snowfall.
Snowfall. Oh, okay, they can't name it that then.
No, they can't go with that one, Barrett. It's taken. It's taken already.
So what about Snowpiercer?
Maybe just Snow.
Snow.
That'd be a good one. But anyway,
that probably is what they would
the
call
point is, they certainly don't seem like they're just going to throw as much shit at the wall as possible. Like, it really has to be worthwhile, or they're really struggling to get high quality storytelling and production in that realm.
I think it's the former, which is why I'm not as worried about like other Game of Thrones content, because it doesn't feel like they are just going to like shit out anything that like, oh yeah, that one, and do the whole, just like flood the market with Game of Thrones content to keep it hot.
Well, why are you so worried about season 2 of House of the Dragon?
Because it just feels like a fraught production that has now taken too long, B, been caught up in one, I did that totally on accident. Just being a doofus over here.
I like it.
1, it's taken too long.
Yeah.
2, it's been fraught with the strikes, which now I don't even understand. I guess neither even affected Game of Thrones, except for I thought that they did because they were choosing not to have writers on set. I don't know. I
think it's fair to be worried. I was worried about season 1, and especially now that I know what season 1 was, where it's like they're covering this, what did it end up being, 10, 20, 30 freaking years? We need them to like get a great season out and then get into the rhythm of another season coming out the very next year. Yeah.
Like this can't keep being like 2 years between seasons and this happened and then this showrunner left and then this showrunner left and now
I agree with
this
you there.
strike and then this pandemic and like all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like every single time, it's making it harder for the show to succeed.
Yeah, I mean it's more difficult for people to stay keyed into it, right? To stay locked in. And no, I don't disagree with you there. I think the showrunner deal is obviously a concern going into season 2, on top of the fact that it is my understanding that they continued with production through the writer's strike, which feels perilous. And I got differing opinions from people in Hollywood telling me either that was a big deal or that it wasn't, and I don't know. I really don't know. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But the one thing about this season that does feel more promising than season 1, it sounds like it will be linear. Like from week to week, we're not going to be worried about like, massive now are we in, are the kids grown up now? Like what, like that's going to be a lot more simple for season 2 than it was for season 1 of House of the Dragon. I'll give you a little bit from an Esquire article here. Francesca Orsi, the executive vice president of drama series at HBO, reaffirmed that the series is targeting a summer 2024 return, while HBO pivots to restarting production on The Last of Us and The White Lotus. And I just like hearing those names.
Yes.
That's good.
Definitely.
That's good stuff.
Definitely.
So you have to, one of my hopes, like The White Lotus doesn't feel like it's too crazy of a production. Mm-hmm. You got to imagine season 3 comes next year, right?
Yeah, probably late next year.
So I would think they try to continue or get back to that one show into the next thing that we just experienced in that incredible run that HBO had, where now I think we could see House of the Dragon season 2 into The White Lotus, into The Last of Us in 2024 potentially, which would be nice.
I mean, now we have Night Country at the beginning of 24, so they could try to go on a pretty big stretch there.
Which would be back to what we expect from HBO.
Yes, yeah.
And that would be good for us as well on this show.
Yes.
The other thing is there's going to be more dragons in season 2. And specifically, showrunner Ryan Condal revealed at a recent event in LA, you're going to meet 5 more dragons.
Good.
5.
It is the House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Makes sense that there would be more of them.
And maybe just as this is going to be a thing every season, we just get a new batch introduced into the mix.
And you got to think that there's some attrition from the dragon brood as well, right?
Yeah.
They don't all make it.
No.
We've seen a dragon get got.
Yeah.
In season 1. There.
Bit him right in half.
Yeah.
That one's gone. He's not coming back. He got eaten. So yeah, anyway, that's my House of the Dragon news.
Players get injured, Ross.
They do.
That's
they do.
part of the game.
And in terms of other things I've been watching, The Wheel of Time I've stayed caught up with. It releases weekly on Amazon Prime on Fridays, right? What I didn't realize is that the most recent episode I watched last week on Friday was the penultimate episode. It was the 7th episode. In my mind, with every show like on that scale, I assume it's 10 episodes. But season 1 was 8 episodes. Season 2 is 8 episodes.
Okay.
And it has been... I kind of got scared after I threw out that like Wheel of Time is the best fantasy show since Game of Thrones thing, and people were all over me for that. But like, I'm back in on that. Like, it's really good, man. I know you're not watching it, Barrett, and it's totally fine. It is definitely pure high fantasy, and that does not cease.
What's popping off with the Trollocs right now,
dude? No Trollocs in season 2. I feel like they were like, okay, the Trollocs are fucking stupid. Because they definitely maintained through season 1. The Trollocs are in the finale of season 1. There's a big Trolloc army.
Trolloc battle.
Doing Trolloc stuff.
Yeah.
But season 2 has not touched the Trollocs. Like, you're dealing with a different type of bad guy in season 2. Yeah. A lot, even more magic in season 2 than in season 1, I would add.
It's just funny because you've always said that Trollocs is your favorite restaurant as well.
Yeah, that's True Lux.
Oh, True Lux. Got it.
Difference. But yeah, so very few Trollocs, if any, in season 2. I'm trying to remember even seeing one, but the finale is this Friday, October 6th. And so next week I'll be able to give you like a sort of general review overall of season 2. But so far, been very good. Better than season 1 even, because they didn't have to deal with the production break as a result of COVID. They didn't lose an actor. The guy that they plugged in for the actor that they did lose halfway through season 1 has been phenomenal in season 2. Didn't miss a beat, which makes me feel bad for the first guy. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
You do this huge Amazon Prime show, massive production. Something goes down in your personal life in some way, shape, or form that causes you to not be able to return, and then the other dude is good enough to where like nobody cares. Right. Just kind of erases your legacy. So yeah, Wheel of Time has been awesome. Foundation has been awesome. And a little bit of House of the Dragon news as well. With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. With chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door, you'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Today's episode is brought to you by Factor, so if you're too busy running around during the day to think about lunch, keep your energy up with Lunch to Go. Effortless, wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat when you're on the go. No microwave even required for those Lunch to Go meals. Looking for calorie-conscious options during the busy season? Try delicious dietitian-approved calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. With Factor, you can also rest assured you're making a sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions, source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in their meals. So this October, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. So if you're living life on the fly, could not more highly recommend Factor. It's time to sign up for Factor with our special offer just for members of the Clam Fam. Head to factormeals.com/OCC50. Use code OCC50 when you check out to get 50% off your first box. That's code OCC50 at factormeals.com/OCC50 to get 50% off your first box of Factor. Little update on the old actors strike.
How'd it go last week? Or this week?
Apparently, it went okay.
Okay.
Not like super great. They're not like, we're pretty much there.
Yeah.
But I'll read you some from Deadline. It says SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers just wrapped their second day of renewed talks over a new 3-year contract with a plan to meet again on Friday and even further down the line. So
is this Friday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
That this came out.
All right. Yep.
They break, from the meeting to go work on their individual adjustments to the
look in the mirror, work on themselves,
do some therapy,
do some reflection,
a little meditation, and then they'll review or they'll continue on Friday, tomorrow, October 6th.
That sounds positive.
It says SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP met for a full-day bargaining session and have concluded, the parties said in a joint statement on Wednesday night. Negotiations will continue Friday, October 6th, with the parties working internally over the weekend, resuming Monday, October 9th. I have seen some complaining from people who were involved in the writer's strike that we worked all through the night and and these guys are breaking at 5 p.m., getting started later in the day, taking days off. They don't seem as pressed.
Yeah. Well, actors notoriously just very lazy.
Yeah. It says, as they did Monday, SAG-AFTRA leadership sat down with studio CEOs and AMPTP boss Carol Lamborghini, not Lamborghini. I want to say Lamborghini so bad when I see your name. But
now we're there.
It's Carol Lamborghini.
It's Carol Lamborghini.
Wednesday to move forward on ending the actors' strike, which will reach its 85th day tomorrow. Today, in fact, is that 85th day. The 4 CEOs representing the studios in negotiations, I believe, are the exact same as in the writers. So you got NBC Universal's Donna Langley, Warner Brothers Discovery's David Zaslav, Netflix's Ted Sarandos, and Disney's Bob Iger. And do those 4 people represent the entire world of streaming and you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and the answer is pretty much.
That's wild.
There are, from what I understand, there are other people represented by the AMTP, other streamers and other studios and all of that. But those are
that's covering everything.
Those are the 4 big ones, basically. The 4 big people, leaders of those media companies, conglomerates, and they represent enough to where it's that they're the
very large majority of the decision making.
And they are not. It gets a little fuzzy for me because they are generally it's kind of interesting that they are so heavily involved because typically there is a negotiating team on behalf of the AMPTP, right? There's leaders of the AMPTP and then leaders of the guild, right? And those are the negotiators.
Yeah.
And so it's a little weird that they're actually that studio heads are being included in those talks and in those meetings. But it's it's that serious basically that they're bringing in people from either side to add and to kind of spur along the conversation is what it sounds like.
Well, it also sounds like that's how lopsided it is, where, with the writers, for example, they're representing thousands and thousands of writers. They're representing tens of thousands of actors in the case of the Actors Guilds. And then there's 4 people that need to come through for the studios, and that's kind of it.
There's also stuff, there's a bunch of weird stuff going on out there, for example, SNL has set a return date. And because the writers' strike is over, the writers can all return. And then any acting that takes place on SNL, whether it's from the cast member or from the host, is actually covered under a different thing called the network code.
Okay.
And they all have agreements in place that they can't break for so they can't, basically that's a production that is not quote unquote struck. It's not a struck production.
Okay.
And so they can go do SNL with no, they're not violating any strike strike mandate or anything like that because it's covered under something different. And then I think like there were a couple of festivals that happened over the last couple of months that a bunch of actors were showing up to, like
movie festivals.
Yeah, film festivals. I know, like, I kept seeing Jacob Elordi and the actress's name is slipping my mind, but they're doing the Priscilla film, the Priscilla Presley film.
Okay, yeah.
And they were supporting that. And then it's like, I think A24 has like already agreed to all the terms, so like those productions are maybe not struck anymore. There's a bunch. What I'm saying is that, like, much like we kind of talked about with House of the Dragon, there is some stuff that feels like it's actually still happening because of one kind of like loophole, or because it's covered under something else.
It's like you can get a day pass, though.
Yeah, or something.
I saw some of those stories about like this particular movie has been given, or this particular production has been, like, they've signed off on the ability for the actors to go and start promoting it. Mm-hmm. So even though the actor strike isn't done. So it sounds like there's like individual agreements that can be brokered, which is just, it's a little strange. Yeah. Like one of the ones I saw this for was an indie film, though. Okay. So it's like they're not necessarily in the same boat as a large scale production that's in a Warner Brothers Discovery production or whatever. But it does feel it's a lot more complicated than I thought. This is the first writer's strike or actor's strike that I have paid a lot of attention to because it actually started to impact my freaking job here doing this podcast. And it is fascinating. I mean, it is very, very complicated. There are a lot of moving parts, and there are things about it that I still very much do not understand.
Speaking of complicated, did you see that Drew Barrymore's 3 co-head writers quit? They did not come back to work.
They were like, no, we're not going to come back.
And I don't know anything about the story other than what the news media has reported and what Drew Barrymore has said on her social accounts and all of that. But, like, seems kind of harsh. Like, she quit the MTV hosting job and then waited a couple more months and then made a decision that was probably ill-advised to be like, I'm putting my show back on the air. I want to keep it going. She was thinking about the crew and all that type of stuff. And then the writers like freaked out and they struck the show and they picketed outside. And she said, "Okay, I was wrong. That was a mistake." And now it just seems
they're still not coming back.
And now, like, I don't know, like.
I mean, in fairness, she'll just hire 3 other writers.
Yes, but she seemed to have she had been very supportive of these writers when she had accepted awards. I think she plus all 3 of them had won daytime Emmys.
Oh, wow.
Like, it just seemed like a good team, and just get in a room, say sorry, work this out, right? Like,
it does seem like there's so much pettiness. It seems
like
in
very
this,
petty.
though.
Yes, and I mean, like, everybody, like, I'm not blaming any side. Like, everybody had their guns that they wanted to stick to, and fair deals for everybody. Like, I'm all for that. But, like, Drew maybe made a mistake, but I don't know. I hope that stuff can get, like, worked out, because, like, I don't know. It just...
Dude, but that's one of the crazy things about Hollywood and really just people in general, right? Like, you don't really know somebody unless you know them.
Yeah.
Like, for all we know, she is kind of a difficult person to work with. Maybe this was the final straw that she made that wrong call. You know what I mean? Like, there's always... I always go back to Ellen, but when that news came out about, like, Ellen being a shitty person to work for and creating a hostile work environment, like, I was floored.
Yeah.
I was like, Ellen? The happy dancing lady? What the hell, man? Like... I just, you never really know people unless you know them. And even then, people keep their secrets, have their dark traits and personality characteristics that they don't share with everybody all the time. So you never know. It's difficult to speak on stuff like that. I wish there was more transparency in Hollywood in particular with regard to stuff like this, because we walk away as consumers pretty confused. Like, the same thing, I saw Drew Barrymore's show, and then I think, like, was it that Drew Carey also lost some writers? Or maybe I'm just mixing up Drews now. I'm doing a quick Google to see.
They lost some writers on The Price is Right?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Drew Carey.
Is all of this making you really glad that that you chose podcasting over writing the spec script for the Total Frat Movie 2?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, dude, I said it before. I'll say it again right now. this was always a piece of like, as a guy who left college knowing I want to write stuff. I didn't really know what,
Right.
but obviously have loved TV for many decades now.
Yeah.
It was an option. Like, do I want to try to go out to Hollywood and like become a writer? And it was never really tempting to me.
Yeah.
Because from a pretty young age, I got the impression that Hollywood is a fucking mess.
Right.
And everything out there is, I mean, and it's only gotten more concrete the older I've got. Like, the more you pay attention to this stuff, how difficult it is, for example, to get a TV show made. How much creative control you lose on every level. Like, if you write a book and then the book gets optioned and then they turn that book into a movie, like the odds that you have full creative control if you're just some first-time hit writer are slim to none.
Yeah.
If you're like, Stephen King, you can negotiate for a bigger say in the deal. But there are like 5 writers in novel book-wise in America who can even pull that off.
Yeah.
So there's very little control over what you see as your baby. And I would rather just come in here and say stupid things into a microphone with you.
Yeah.
I could have been the best, Barrett, is what I'm saying.
I know.
But I chose this life with you instead.
And everybody else just has to suffer because they'll never see the sequel to Total Fratman.
For the record, I had nothing to do with the first one at all. Nothing I wrote or said or have ever done had anything to do with that movie. But
yes, I'm purposely
but your point stands.
confusing the audience.
Your point stands, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's just funny because like I had David Zaslav's name in my head, pretty much since he took over that gig as like one of the people I could be mad at if things go wrong with my favorite.
He is an easy heel.
Yeah, but now I've got a few others. I got Donna Langley at NBC Universal, Ted Sarandos at Netflix, which I had heard before. And then, of course, everybody knows Bob Iger.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
At Disney. So those are the big 4 that we can direct our frustration and anger at as TV and movie podcasters who have had to bullshit our way through the last several months of content with nothing new coming out. Speaking of random entertainment nonsense, we have not, I don't think, even touched on the situation with Taylor Swift and the NFL.
We've talked about it a little bit.
Did we reference it?
Yeah. Yes.
Now,
I think so.
I am not entirely interested in the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce relationship side of it. I'm 36. I don't really like Travis Kelce. His personality is always... I'm saying this as a like I just said, you never really know somebody unless you know them.
Right,
I don't know Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pass actual judgment on the dude, but as a sports fan, he just strikes me as a douchebag that I like to root against. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's one of the best tight ends of all time. I like hating on him. He's not on my freaking team.
Yeah.
That's how sports work for me. So don't really care. Now, Taylor Swift, you and I have touched on repeatedly how she's on this run in terms of entertainment with the Eras Tour, with the movie coming out, with her song being used in Bears Season 2, where we've never seen anything quite like it.
I don't think so. Yeah.
And, names are getting tossed out there like Michael Jackson in terms of...
People say that Michael Jackson, like 1984 or whatever the year was, like Thriller year basically, was like something similar to this. Frankly, I don't believe you. 2, we didn't have social media or a 24/7 news cycle at
Different
that point.
era.
So I don't think it could have been this big.
Well, and that's where you get into the whole like Michael Jordan, LeBron James thing, right?
Yeah.
2 different eras, difficult to compare. The game has changed a lot.
But the fact that that's like the name and the year that is being brought up, like basically the most famous pop star in the world of all time at his apex is like the new comparison for where Taylor Swift is. And there's many people that think, myself as I just acknowledged included, that think that she has like exceeded that.
Right.
This is unprecedented.
When I think the market now in 2023 is a lot, it's easier for people who are kind of casuals, I would say, casual fans to access it.
Yeah.
Whereas like if Michael Jackson was doing the Michael Jackson rise to fame nowadays, I don't know that it would be dissimilar. But it's apples and oranges. The point is, we've never seen an artist go on a run like Taylor Swift has. The only thing I would say is comparable would be like Kanye West around the Yeezus album point, where like he had gotten into fashion, broken into the shoe game, also was the hottest rapper in the game and producer at the same time. But he was always so polarizing, in part because he took Taylor Swift's microphone away at a show or at an award show. So I don't think he ever reached close to this level that she's at right now.
It's reminiscent of that. In recent memory, it's really the only thing that I can come up with. But this is far exceeded.
Well, I mean, you always heard people who were like, I don't like Kanye. Yeah. He's too cocky, whatever.
He like you said, he was always a polarizing guy.
Right. Whereas with Taylor Swift, like pretty rarely do I hear anyone say a bad thing about her other than like maybe like, yeah, I don't really like her music or I find her to be annoying now that she's on my NFL games every Sunday. But this whole thing that's going on with her and the NFL, the part of it that I am most interested in and that we talked about some off mic, Barrett, in our group text was like, is this, and I guess it ties into whether or not their relationship is real, but like, is this a business agreement? And I got a little bit of news to further that conversation.
Okay.
Because my point is that like, I don't know how much Taylor Swift actually benefits from being featured in NFL games. She doesn't need it, in my opinion. Whereas like Travis Kelce, brand value through the roof now. This guy has picked up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of social media followers. More people know his name by far than before. And NFL games, they're pulling in all these Swifties who are like, what's a down? Like, how does football work, right?
Yeah.
Ton of new audience for the NFL. Yes. People watching football that would never normally watch football, that don't have a clue what's going on, just to see if they can get a glimpse of Taylor Swift in the box, which is why they show her every 5 minutes in the box.
Nobody in my house complained when I had Sunday Night Football on this past week.
See?
Yeah.
See, there you go. Peace is being made throughout American homes. But the point is, I was like, okay, there's got to be a deal. Like, I didn't think she would show up for the Jets game. The first game, I was like, okay, I get it. You go support the guy you're talking to, going on dates with, whatever. The second game, I was like, all right, now I'm getting suspicious. And here's a little bit from the New York Post. In the NFL's undying quest for Taylor Swift's heart, it asked its networks, NBC, ESPN, Fox, and CBS, to show promos for her upcoming movie for free.
Whoa. Okay.
So it continues. ESPN and NBC acquiesced to the request, which is a line from Pirates of the Caribbean in my brain, and showed promos for Swift's movie during the content portion of their pregame shows this past Sunday and Monday. ESPN played the Swift movie promos for her concert during Sunday NFL Countdown and Monday NFL Countdown. NBC's free promo was on its pregame show Football Night in America prior to Chiefs Jets, which Swift attended. There was also a Swift commercial during NBC's game. Now, the commercial was paid for, according to sources. It says these 30-second spots are generally approaching the $1 million neighborhood for a Sunday night football game. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like basically Taylor Swift's people in the NFL got together. And they were probably like, look, we realize we can't set this up as a full-fledged partnership.
Right.
Is there a way for us to both achieve what we see as fair value for what is occurring here? And the NFL said, yes, we will ask our networks to give you promo that is not paid for and to kind of make it a little more legit, like they also bought an ad.
Yeah, this is what we in the business call a win-win-win. I don't see anybody losing here. Actually, I'm going to add a fourth win because while there may be detractors from what's happening out here, frankly, it's all fun. It's all livening up the experience a little bit, and it's not going to last the whole season. So just enjoy it while it lasts. But yeah, everybody's winning here. You already talked about how Travis Kelce is becoming more of a household name than he ever could have dreamed of. This is a guy that already had hosted SNL and that I think covertly definitely has plans of being some type of player in Hollywood, whether he just wants to gas up his podcast or whether he wants to do like a Rock, John Cena movie star thing, which is kind of what I think.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
Taylor has the movie for the Eras Tour coming out, as we've talked about, and is now getting additional promo for it. In the NFL, this is an absolute dream come true for them.
Oh, God,
because, like, you think about, like, their initiatives with, like, they're having multiple games in London, more and more every season. Like, when are they just going to force Jacksonville to become the London Kings or whatever, right? It seems like it's going to be pretty soon. They're doing a game is there a Germany game this year, or is that next year?
I think that's next year.
But they announced that, like, the next international game is Germany. They've done Mexico City. They're all about expansion. That is the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's that whole Adidas commercial where Patrick Mahomes and a couple other Adidas NFL guys are like, we think we're popular. What about soccer?
Yeah.
You know the commercial that I'm talking about?
Yes.
NFL wants to reach closer and closer to those heights of being as popular as worldwide as the other football, right?
Right.
And that's any way that they can do that by appealing to new countries, new markets, and new people right here at home, which is women maybe tuning in and being more interested in the game now because Taylor Swift is dating a football player. Like that's priceless to them in my mind.
Well, I mean, because from an entertainment standpoint, right, football has changed a lot over the past decade. Right?
Yeah.
They've had to start considering things like player health.
Yeah.
Which, it's funny when you say it out loud, but like they've had to start considering that. They've had to start making sure that the game can live through a time where people are more conscious of what is actually happening on the field. Mm-hmm. And I think they've accomplished that to some degree. But then the next step becomes, all right, what about people who don't really care all that much about competitive football?
Yeah.
How do you make this appealing to them? How do we make that Sunday night football, Monday night football, like a homestay on American televisions and computers or whatever, right? Like a tent pole. And this is the answer. You expand it beyond just the game to a full-blown entertainment atmosphere.
Experience.
And a big piece of that is these celebrity kind of cameos, if you will, this being the best one and biggest one they've ever had.
Yeah.
And, the NFL always did that thing where they would show you, like, here's these people in the owner's box for this game. And it would always be somebody that would make you go like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, or even back in how about Jessica Simpson and Tony Romo?
For
and then
sure,
they went to Cabo before the playoff game. And
people lost their minds.
And then there she was in the box, and there's Tony Romo and the Cowboys shitting the bed.
Yeah.
And it's like, that. We've always done this kind of thing. It's just never been at the scale of like you said, of a Taylor Swift, the most popular and most famous person probably in the world right now, instead of like, I don't know, Messi.
Right. I mean, she's up there for sure, right? So, no, I mean, from that standpoint, you have to understand it. And that's where, like, you're starting to see, and this was very predictable, but like a lot of NFL fans who are like, enough. I just want to watch my pigskin. It's just, I don't give a shit about Taylor Swift. Show me more blood. Like, but this is the next phase for the NFL.
Did you watch Jets Chiefs, the Sunday night game?
No.
Okay. So, longtime host or broadcaster on Sunday Night Football is Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah.
It used to be him and Al Michaels. Now it's him and Mike Tirico. And at the beginning of the game, like you said, the pre-shows, they were talking Taylor. Mike Tirico addressed the Swifties by name, like when they cut to the broadcasters and were about to kick off the game. And you could just hear in Collinsworth's voice, he's like an old school football guy, like what just wants to talk football. And you can kind of feel that he's like, God damn it, this is obvious that the Chiefs are going to blow out the Jets, and we're going to have to talk about the Taylor Swift thing because the NFL has asked us to. And like, what we've got that's how we're going to fill airtime because Patrick Mahomes is going to beat the shit out of poor Zach Wilson. And then like when it wasn't that and the Jets actually kept it close and Zach Wilson kind of showed signs of life, you could just hear the jubilation in his voice that he was getting to talk about like
a good football game
and not having to keep talking about more Taylor Swift stuff. But it's very interesting because it's like, because the game was a close game and there was a lot of stuff to talk about football wise, they didn't actually go to the Taylor Swift stuff much at all during the broadcast. And I, for one, was kind of disappointed by that.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that on the flip side, after the game, I saw people conspiracy theorizing that basically the NFL rigged the end of the game for the Chiefs to be able to win.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were like, there's no way the NFL would let Taylor Swift in a box watching her new boyfriend lose to the freaking Jets, who, if you don't care about the NFL, the Jets are perennial losers.
Look, there was a very, very late flag thrown on a questionable, like, holding pass interference call that saved the Chiefs' ass because it was on an interception. Like, he threw an interception. And, like, as soon as Sauce Gardner catches the ball, that's when the flag comes out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe my tinfoil hat is on a little bit with that one.
I could also tell that Aaron Rodgers, who was supposed to be the Jets quarterback this season but got hurt 5 minutes into the season, blew out his Achilles. He is upset that basically that like Travis Kelce took over his team's game in terms of coverage and attention. And he referred to him as Pfizer boy or something like that because Travis Kelce is currently in a Pfizer vaccine flu shot commercial.
Aaron Rodgers is talking trash about Kelce for advocating for the
for Pfizer
for the COVID vaccine.
Yes. Because Rodgers is obviously he's one of these guys. He does his own research, right?
Right.
Before he got Achilles surgery, he did his own research on that as well. I'm not joking on this front. The point is,
did he call him Pfizer Boy on, let me guess, the Pat McAfee show?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That is correct, sir. Very good guess. And yeah, so I thought that was hysterical too. Anyway, there's so much drama around this, and it really is like, from an entertainment standpoint, from a pure entertainment standpoint, one of the most interesting things that has ever happened in professional sports in general, right? Because like the NFL is king in the United States of America. I love the NBA. I love Major League Baseball. Baseball is supposed to be America's pastime. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been for a while. Yeah. It's football. It's the NFL. That's the biggest thing going.
Yes.
And for them to get this kind of momentum through Taylor Swift, and this is why in my head I was like, there's just no way money isn't exchanging hands. And now it turns out we're getting more information on that. And in fact, there is money exchanging hands.
Exchanging hands.
And as Barrett's calling it a win-win-win-win. But then there's a loss in there somewhere for the guy who's sitting on his couch going, I don't care about Taylor. There's a lot to be said about this.
That guy just needs to listen to Love Story a couple more times.
He does. Because like I could see myself being that guy before the Bear episode came out.
Richie was that guy. And then he just, and then he found the joy in Taylor Swift's music.
Which she's got a song for everyone.
She does.
Right?
She does.
You just got to find your Swift song, and then it'll all make more sense to you. But so yeah, Friday, October 13th, Taylor Swift: The Eras Tour concert film will be released in theaters. That's next Friday, and I am going to be very interested to see what kind of money this pulls in. I think you said it had like
tracking for like 100 to 150 million, which is an insane opening weekend. Like I mean, that's big blockbuster stuff. So.
Yeah. For them filming something she's already doing anyway, right? And just editing is essentially the cost for that film.
The only disappointing thing about the film with the in the Eras Tour is that I don't think that there's a part where she brings out Travis Kelce, her new boyfriend, who is also running like a small, weird, like music talent ring.
Oh, that doesn't happen, huh?
Yeah, that does. Yeah, she doesn't bring him out and kiss him and say that she owns him, but that also she loves him. She doesn't do that in the movie.
We're referencing The Idol if you didn't watch it, which is a lot of you, I think. But that's how The Idol ended.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Ice Spice. Maybe she'll bring out Ice Spice.
Maybe
in
Ice
the movie,
Spice can come out in the movie. Yeah.
Maybe Ice Spice twerks and slaps her pussy.
Talking about quick rises though, Ice Spice already on the Dunkin' Donuts commercials with Ben Affleck. I mean, like
huge,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, they both look like they both look like CGI in that commercial though. Like I was like, did they even show up for this? Did they just use holograms of Ice Spice
could just be AI?
Ben Affleck, who
you wouldn't even know it.
Anyway, moving on. Today's episode is also brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes the most comfortable and versatile shorts, pants, and bathing suits in the entire world. I've been wearing Bird Dogs for several years now. They cannot be beaten. I wear them to sleep, to do yard work, to work out, to go swimming, to do everything. They fit great. They feel great. They look great. All their designs and colorways have funny names, and there are a ton of them. Art Fart Knockers, Duffy the Vampire Slayers, Uncle Bucks, and Teddy Rubskins, just to name a few. I have a drawer in my dresser occupied entirely by like over 20 pairs of Bird Dogs at this point. If you want to look like money while you're working in the yard, taking it easy on the weekend, or whatever kind of living you're doing, Bird Dogs are the move. And their pants, great for the golf course, or the office, or going out to dinner and hitting the bars. Very, very comfortable, but also sharp looking. And now they've got great looking polo shirts that are just as comfortable as the shorts. So click on the link in the description below to go to birddogs.com/dragon. Enter code DRAGON when you check out. They will throw in a free Bird Dogs tech hat with your order. It's a beautiful Bird Dogs hat for free when you go to birddogs.com/dragon. Code DRAGON at checkout. birddogs.com/dragon. Code DRAGON. First 3 episodes of Our Flag Means Death, Season 2, are out now as of today, October 5th, the year 2023. By next week's episode of OCC, I will likely have knocked out the first 3 episodes. Are usually like 20, 30 minutes.
Huzzah.
I plan on watching a lot of TV over the next several days. And yeah, I'm stoked for this. I wanted to make sure we plugged it a little bit today because this is definitely one of those shows that is on the HBO chopping block.
Yeah.
I feel like this one is it's at risk. So if you've been looking for kind of a lighthearted comedy that's always going to bring you some emotional heartstrings are going to be plucked every episode, but there's a lot of laughs. If you like pirates, like I do, I'm a big pirate guy. It's a great show. It really is. Season 1 was awesome. Season 2, first 3 episodes out now. And then releases, I feel like it's like a Monday release. I'm not positive on what day the show drops new episodes, but the first 3 are out now, that much I know. Then, randomly, I was on Amazon Prime night before last, kind of scrolling around. I had watched The Foundation already. I'm caught up on Wheel of Time. I was like, what do I want to watch? I can't just throw on Lord of the Rings again. My wife's going to throttle me in my sleep. And I came across this documentary on Prime. It's called The Real Middle Earth. And yeah, I'm going there. If you're like, wow, Ross cannot possibly be this big of a nerd. No, I am. It's a fascinating documentary. I'll just read you the synopsis. It takes us in Tolkien's footsteps and investigates the landscapes and buildings, the places and names that helped shape Middle Earth. Sir Ian Holm narrates this fascinating exploration into an imaginary world. And basically what this thing does is tell you and research and explain how J.R. Tolkien came to create, like what inspiration in his life caused him to write the Hobbit trilogy and the books and for the Lord of the Rings movie to be made. And it is extremely interesting. Like I probably fell asleep 45 minutes into the hour-long doc. Can't wait to go finish it. It is awesome.
First, just one episode, 1 hour, one episode?
Yeah, it's just 1 hour long. Sir Ian Holm played Bilbo in Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings films, and I guess technically he played Bilbo in the Hobbit series as well, the old Bilbo, right? He passed away in 2020. I did not realize that. He got buried by COVID, no pun intended. Like that news got buried. Like I did not see that. Also didn't realize this. In 1981, Sir Ian Holm played Frodo Baggins in the BBC radio adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. So he had actually played Frodo Baggins in a radio production of The Lord of the Rings before, I guess, 20 years later, he got cast as Bilbo.
Next step is you have to go find that radio production from 1981 on the BBC and listen to that.
Yeah,
otherwise, you're not a true fan.
I guess that's the case, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. This is as far as I'm willing to go. The Real Middle Earth documentary on Amazon Prime. If you've ever been interested in like where, how all this came to be in terms of J.R.R. Tolkien, his life, and his storytelling, because like there's that movie Tolkien that stars the dude who plays Peter in The Great as J.R.R. Tolkien.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult. I don't know if anybody saw that or watched it, but like I only knew a little bit about J.R.R. Tolkien, and this gets into like his experience in World War I and how that influenced different parts of the film. I'll give you one tidbit. So he grew up in England, right? In an area that's slipping my mind currently, but like
Essex.
In an area.
Surrey.
I don't know, Barry.
Liverpool.
The point is, he grew up in one of the areas that was like that was Shire-esque.
Okay.
Where
none of the ones that I just
rolling hills, small communities, farm folk, and the like. And then he moved into the city when he got older, and then he recognized that the areas of the countryside that he fell in love with as a kid that resembled the Shire were being overtaken by industrialization and by the spread of, apartment complexes, and every big city on the map ending up looking pretty much the freaking same, right? And I had never really appreciated this aspect of The Lord of the Rings before watching this documentary, but one of the driving forces behind his writing of those books, which were later turned into some of the most successful movies of all time and some of my favorites, was the fact that he enjoyed basically nature. And he didn't like how, humans' progress through industrialization was taking away a lot of the beautiful natural elements of the world and replacing them with industrialization, which you see a lot like in the films. Like one of the big pieces of The Two Towers is that Saruman is out there having the freaking orcs rip down all the trees, right? And build him this massive industrial war machine. And then the trees, of course...
allegory.
A lot of allegory. The trees, of course, end up helping the hobbits and taking down Saruman. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched The Two Towers. But, you had 20 years. Anyway, so there's a lot like that gets into sort of his personal morals and belief system that caused him to create Middle-earth. And then also they get into the fact that he created full entire languages for those books that got turned into movies, like 2 different versions of Elvish in full-fledged, like all the way documented, like the dude was a psycho nerd. And I appreciated that as well, getting more information there. So yeah, The Real Middle-earth for all the big LOTR nerds out there. If you haven't watched this, I highly recommend it.
Did he ever go to New Zealand, Tolkien?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
So that was Peter Jackson that chose that location.
Right.
That scouted.
Yeah, and they touch on that too, like that when it first came out, people were upset, like, well, why didn't they just, I'm not going to do an English accent and insult the people, but why didn't they just film it here?
Yeah.
And the answer was because in large part, that's what he was trying to say. Like the areas that it would have been filmed there had been wrecked.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a place without a major road or a bridge or whatever that would like wreck the shot. So like they had to go find somewhere where they could actually pull it off in New Zealand. And anyway, yeah, it's called The Real Middle-earth. I know Barrett will be biting at the...
Yeah, that just shot to the top of my list.
Yeah, so Foundation has been replaced with The Real Middle-earth.
The Real Middle-earth,
that's what you're going to go watch.
Correct.
If you want more OCC, go to patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, where we've made major updates to our page. One of the biggest complaints over the years on Patreon has always been it's harder to find your older episodes. Where are the Sopranos episodes? Where's the White Lotus stuff, etc.? Now Patreon has allowed us to create what they're calling collections on our page. So if you're looking to enjoy our companion podcast for the Sopranos, you simply click on collections and boom, all 86 episodes are right there for you to watch or listen to. Same thing applies for House of the Dragon bonus coverage, Succession, The White Lotus, The Last of Us, Silo. I also went in and created a collection for our movie club where you'll find a companion podcast for 16 different movies Barrett and I watched together and then did a podcast to cover, including Oppenheimer, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Joker. The list goes on and on.
Shouts to all my parasites out there.
Thanks to everyone making our Patreon page a big part of why we're able to do this show. Go to patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Support us. Our show would not exist without the support of the Clam fam on Patreon. And just $5 a month. You'll gain access to our entire backlog of exclusive audio podcasts when you officially become a part of the Clam fam on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. We would also appreciate it if you would support our sponsors by using the dedicated URLs and codes that we provide you with in every episode. They're also in the description below, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on one of the podcast platforms. Today we had birddogs.com/dragon, code DRAGON for that free Bird Dogs tech hat with your order, and factormeals.com/OCC50, code OCC50 to get 50% off your first box of Factor meals. Go to bowlinmedia.com to check out our other shows and programs. Follow us on social media everywhere. Follow Barrett at Barrett Dudley. Follow me at WR Bolin. We'll be back on Patreon, tomorrow?
I think so, yeah.
And thank you for being here today. Thanks for listening. Thank you for watching. Enjoy The Real Middle-earth. Until next time. On Amazon Prime. Until next time. Peace.